Hey everyone, welcome, welcome. I am so excited to have one of our Wise Mind Soul Warrior and the Wise Method Inner Circle students with us as part of our yoga psychology school. And I want to take a minute for Mandy just to introduce herself and to just share a little bit about, let's start with how we connected.
So, hello, my name is Mandy Price, and I connected with Jennie almost by accident, but I call it fate. I was on Facebook one day. I had already been on a self-healing journey for many years, and was really delving deep into my search for my own personal growth and healing.
Mhm.
And one of your ads popped up on Facebook. And I just liked it, didn't really think much about it. I read the ad and went on about my day. And a couple days later, you actually private messaged me, just checking in to see if I had any questions about anything. And at the time, I didn't really even know who you were. I didn't know what the program was really about. I hadn't really sat down and looked at it. But after you did, I started reading through material you had
Mhm.
posted, and it immediately caught my attention.
Mhm.
Just the different programs and the different things that you touched on
Mhm.
were all the things that I was looking for. And I was like, wait a minute, how did this come across? Like, Facebook is magic sometimes in that way. I feel like they listen to everything your brain thinks. But it worked out perfectly. You scheduled a call with me so that I could get more information.
Mhm.
And I learned a lot just in that short call, but I got off the call thinking, this is what I need for myself. Um, I did not know how in the world I was going to make it happen. At the time, we were a one income family for the most part. I was working very part time, um,
Mhm.
and I needed this. I knew I needed it. That little voice in my head kept coming back. You need this is what you need. And I wanted to listen to it, but the practical part of me was like, we don't have the funds. We do not have a way to do this right now. Um, but I just kept following you and I kept reading information, and I got on one of your free calls that you did one day with like a yoga and meditation practice. And so I just kept following you and I liked what I saw.
Yeah, well, let's talk about what it was like to get on a consultation with me because I remember, ironically, at the time, I was actually out in Phoenix when you and I talked the first time. I
Right.
remember it was back in April of last year. So tell me, what do you remember as far as us connecting and getting on a call together? What that was like for those students out there who don't know me and
Right.
they've never got, they might be scared to get on a call. They think that I'm going to give them a sales pitch or something, even though it's a custom consultation, but share that with students, like what it was like to get on a call with me.
So I actually come, which I don't even know that you know this, from a background a little bit of I've worked for a lot of MLM type companies. Um,
Mhm.
and the first thing that they want to do is like sell you. They will say anything to get you to buy a product. They just want you to buy it. With you, you were more concerned about what my overall goals were, and you wanted to make sure that your program aligned with what I was looking for and what I needed. And you wanted to make sure that you could give me in that course what I was looking for. So
Mhm.
I could tell by that you were genuine. Um, and so I think that caught my eye. I didn't feel uncomfortable. You almost felt like an old friend that I was just sitting and talking to and learning more about yoga and meditation and how it could help. Um, but it was more than that. It was almost like you were teaching me in that 30-minute call. I remember we were actually having to get off the call and you were like, we could talk all day. Um, but it was because I was learning just in that 30 minutes from you, and I could tell you had just so much knowledge to give, and you're have like a healing spirit about you, and it came through on the call. And so that's what caught my attention. And you made me feel very comfortable.
Mhm.
I remember I was telling you like my whole life story on the phone call, but I think I needed to tell you that so that you understood exactly what I was looking for. So I felt very comfortable, and I walked away from that call knowing I wanted to do this and I wanted to focus on myself and do the healing work that I needed to do to
Mhm.
boost myself into all areas that I needed work in. So I had a lot of work to do and I'm still working on myself. It's a lifelong project.
Mhm.
Um, but I will say that I feel like I have made a lot of progress. And without this, I don't think I would have. So that's been
So
a huge
let's talk a little bit about a couple things. Let's talk about first a little bit because you mentioned that about the financial piece, and
part.
then I want to talk a little bit more about some of the changes that you've seen, like in your relationships and like just with yourself. And
Right.
so financially, um, we have so many different options, right? Like we have Affirm and Afterpay, which that you were able to take advantage of that. We have like different other installment plans and other ways that you can um, work with us. We have like two or three other partners, like in addition to Affirm and Afterpay. Those aren't the only options that we have.
Right.
And then we have obviously, for someone who is in the financial position to want to pay for something in full, you certainly can do that as well.
Right.
But we've tried to make it as easy as possible to have, as low as like $100 a month up to, it could be more than that per month, depending on how quickly you were looking to try to pay something off. So we've got a pretty broad spectrum.
Right.
So if you want to share for a minute, because I know you and I really try to come up with a lot of different ways because I never want the financial piece to be something that's holding somebody back. Like I know if I know that the timing, there's never perfect timing either, right? But if somebody is really wanting to do it and it's really resonating for them and they're feeling called to it, and maybe there's something, whether they want to teach, they want to mentor, or maybe they're just going through their own personal transformation, or maybe they're like going through a life transition, or maybe they're just like in that dark night of the soul where they just need like a soul sister or a soul community.
Right.
And maybe they've tried therapy or maybe they've tried other programs and they just, they're not getting far enough along. And
Right.
so if all of that stuff is in alignment, I want to be able to, meet those students where they are for them to be able to come as they are. And I feel like I would love to hear your thoughts on this too. And then we'll talk about the financial stuff. But like, just the way I see it, and you can kind of share with this as well, that it's almost like getting like yoga psychology, you can call it yoga therapy, um, life coaching, and like wellness coaching, like
All
all in
of it.
one,
Right.
plus like a whole community that you get, you know, to have this soul community that you're also being supported like in a group as well.
Right.
And so would you agree with me as far as like that's a good description of like all these different pieces?
Well, from experience, just looking at other programs that are out there,
Yeah.
they tend to focus, I won't say all of them, but they tend to focus on just one area. So it might be self improvement, it might be yoga, it might be meditation, it might, and so you literally have formed a program that I feel like focuses on mind, body, and soul and the connection to all of it and how your body works. I don't think that the average person realizes how all of it affects your mental health is connected to everything that's ever happened to you.
Mhm.
And for me, the reason that I needed to go through kind of a soul transformation is because of all of the trauma that I had experienced in my younger years. And nobody plans on that ever happening.
Mhm.
A lot of people go through a lot worse than I even went through. But I think that we harbor those feelings and we carry those around with us. And if we are not taking the time to really practice yoga, meditation, and other holistic practices, we are not going to be able to release that. It's just stuck inside of our body. And I don't think I realized how much it was affecting me
Mhm.
until your program and starting to go through it. I think after, honestly, like the first 2 weeks of sitting down and logging in on my own and watching some of the first few videos, I was like, holy cow, the information that I'm learning. I was calling my best friend, like, you don't even know like the information that I'm learning. So um I've, tried to convince her to do it too, because I think it's just so fascinating learning even about like the mental capacity. And so many people don't get to the root cause of all kinds of issues, and they immediately go to the doctor. And what does the doctor do? The doctor gives you medicine.
Right.
Um, but they don't try to get to the root cause of that. And sometimes it's simply you're just harboring, bad feelings around your body, and you need to release that. And so for me, I've always tried to look at like a natural approach to stuff.
Mhm.
And if you need medicine at the end of the day, I think, medicine has its place in the world.
Mhm.
But I do think that too often that's what everybody goes to before they
Mhm.
come through something like this. So the course for me, I think from a personal standpoint, it's helped me because I'm not as reactive when I'm triggered for
Mhm.
past emotions that I've had to deal with. Um,
Mhm.
and I'll be honest, I went through a 14-year, very hard relationship with my sister who struggled with addiction. Our father passed away on Christmas Day, and it absolutely devastated our entire family. And each person dealt with it differently.
Mhm.
Um, and we all had to go through our own transformation.
Mhm.
However, I was so busy helping everybody else around me heal. I did not take the time to do that for myself.
Mhm.
Um, and so your course, I think, was so much more than just, oh, I'm going to be a yoga teacher at the end of this. It was something that I had to kind of face my demons and realize that I was part of the problem too. And how I
Mhm.
was reacting to people was because I had not healed, former versions of myself.
Right.
Um,
Well, let's
so
let's dive into that. We'll come back to that. I want you to share for a minute how you overcame the obstacle of being able to invest, because I think that's
mhm,
important for people to hear that and where you were and how you worked through that
right,
to be able to step in to say, I am going to make this work. It's not a matter if, it's a matter of how.
right.
So if you can share a little bit about that.
I'll be glad to, because I think that I'm the prime example of
Mhm.
somebody that wanted so badly to take part in the program, but had absolutely no idea how I was going to make it work financially.
Mhm.
When I talked to you, I knew that you were going to come to me with a number. I just didn't know what the number was going to be. Everybody's programs are very different.
Mhm.
And when you told me, I don't think it was sticker shocked after you told me all of the things that were included in the program. I think the value was there. I saw the value immediately.
Mhm.
However, I did not know how I was physically going to come up with the money. So I signed up kind of blindly, thinking I have no idea where I'm going to come up. And at the time, I think the payment was only like 175 a month.
Mhm.
Um, you did not have a firm as an option when I signed up. And
Mhm.
so I was kind of panicked, and I was like, I can come up with $175 a month, no problem. Like I'll just go do an extra sound healing event.
Right.
Um, sounds easier, but I was just becoming a new business owner, getting my sound healing business off the ground, and I had no direction. Um, and then my husband lost his job. My husband is a engineer, and he is the prime example of like the husband that takes care of the wife and kids, and
Mhm.
sole provider. And we have a hefty mortgage and car payments and the whole 9 yards. And that
Mhm.
was our priority. And I had just signed up like the month before this happened. And I thought, oh my gosh, this was not the time to do this, you know? And so I started sweating it. And I actually talked to you and said, I don't know how I'm going to make this work. My husband's lost his job. I'm kind of in panic mode right now. And you were like, stop, think about this. You wanted to do this so badly. You will make it work if you really want to make it work. And at the time, I thought, oh, Jennie's crazy. She doesn't understand my situation. But the funny thing is, I did blindly kind of put my faith into that comment, you know, you will make it work. I
Mhm.
have quit every single thing that I've ever started for myself. When it got too hard, I would quit.
Mhm.
And you said, if God brought you to it, God's going to bring you through it. Kind of, I
Mhm.
think that's how you explained it to me. And that's exactly what happened. It took 7 months for my husband to find a job. We were able to keep our house and everything. And it was because I hunkered down and started doing sound healing events. And in one weekend, right after all of this happened, and I talked to you, I was able to do one big event that paid for my kids' Christmas. It caught our bills up. It paid my monthly fee to you. And it took a little bit of the heaviness off.
Mhm.
And that next week, you contacted me and said, I actually have other payment options. You should look into this. And it was a firm, and it changed my payment. It took a huge weight off of my shoulders. And it just was kind of like, I felt like everything happened in the order that it was supposed to,
Mhm.
because I wanted it to work so bad. And I put the work in, and I didn't just give up, and I didn't make excuses like I, had in the past. I just made it work, and it is working. And I'm, thankful that I did trust my intuition and went
Mhm.
for it no matter what. Because at the end of the day, I think we all spend a lot of frivolous money on
Mhm.
things like coffee and eating out, and that money adds up to 175 or 120 or $100 a month.
Mhm.
So, do you really want to invest in yourself, or do you want to make excuses? That's kind of what it comes down to.
Right.
So, I hate to say it, but that's exactly what I went
You can say that, but I can't say
through.
that.
No, you can't say that, but I
I can't say it like that. But it's true. I mean, it's true though, because I mean, I know other people that, similar situations, right? Like, I not the exact situation, but every time I've signed up for a coaching program or a mentor program or a teacher training program, I've had to figure it out too, So I'm not here like, preaching something that I haven't done myself. Do you know
right,
what I mean? Like I've had to figure it out. And I think it's so easy, like to your point, to say, I'll do it when I'm ready, or I'll do it when I have more time, or I'll do it when I'm in a different financial place. But if it's really calling to you and it's resonating for you and you're feeling, pulled towards it, you can figure out like that's your brain's way of trying to like stop you from, the fear part of it is what's
yeah,
stopping you. Instead of saying, well, if money wasn't a concern, would I be a yes? And most people would be a yes,
right,
right? The majority of people, when you ask them that, they say yes.
correct,
So it's like, okay, what could you look at in your budget? Now, this isn't for everybody, right? So I'm not saying that there are certain people that's like, I can't even do $100 a month right now, and that's fine.
right,
But for a majority of people, they can move things around and say, okay, like you said, I'm going to eat out less, or I'm going to drop this subscription. Or, I've had other people that were paying for subscription that they dropped so that they could do this. Do you know what I mean? Like,
right,
or whatever the thing is. Like, I've had people stop going to a yoga studio and do this and that, like, so the point is, most people can set aside $25 a week or more, or $50 a week, whatever it is, aside in their budget to
right.
be able to do this. and we've made it like super affordable for
Right.
people. Um, so, and we've got different options too, as far as like if somebody wants to do it on demand, like that's one level. If somebody wants group support, that's another level. If somebody wants one on one support. So it's kind of like three different tiers that they can do.
You
And so,
tailor make it to everybody's specific needs. And that's one thing, you have the flexibility to kind of almost morph it to your life and how it fits best for you. And that's a little
mhm,
different too.
yeah. And that's not, I mean, I would say a majority of, businesses that you work with or programs that you work with do not do that. And
Right.
I've been doing that for the 4 years that I've been running these programs is I've worked with people and I've created, I've got really creative with ways, payment plans or whatever the thing is to figure something out to make it work for those students.
Right.
So if that's something that's holding you back, please, DM us, let go, DM us, that you're interested, set up a consult call. In fact, I need to put that in the comments. And don't let that hold you back because I will do my very best. Like I can't promise obviously everybody that I can make it work for you, but I can promise you I'll do my very best
Right.
to try to make it work.
And you definitely did with me, because I feel like everything that you came to me with, I had another reason why I couldn't do it that way. Um, and you just kept giving me, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I get it. Like you
Yeah,
have
like
all the ways that you could possibly look at trying to make it work for yourself.
right.
Um, and
Like
that is
doing it
different.
twice a month or you know what I mean? Like whatever the thing was. Like you know, like I said, um I figured out. So I'm gonna put the consult call link in here. That's the consult call. And I need to come up with the other link, which don't have right in front of me. Let me grab that before I forget, which is our girl and bro let it go. Grab that. And is there anything else that you can think of that you would want to share around um, like you mentioned a transformation with like being less reactive in your personal relationships.
Right.
Have there been some other things that you've observed as far as the transformation and the outcomes that you've seen that you feel comfortable sharing?
Um, Absolutely. I think from a mom standpoint, when I feel myself getting overwhelmed,
Mhm,
and I know I have to do all the things, the laundry and cleaning and taking to gymnastics and baseball and whatever,
mhm,
basketball, all the things. Sometimes I just don't take time out for myself. And
mhm,
the course itself has made me focus on that, because I'm having to, on my own time, go online, but it's flexible to my own crazy busy schedule.
mhm,
But I think it's made me more aware that I need to take, even if it's 15 minutes, to decompress and take a walk after dinner, to go and get my nails done or whatever I need to do, to go and sit in meditation or to go sit in prayer when I first wake up in the morning. Those little things I realize I'm starting to become more aware
mhm,
of needing, but I'm also making sure that I do those things. And I think the kids are starting to take notice,
mhm,
because when I think they're feeling overwhelmed or they have a lot going on too around them, they're starting to do meditation, or they'll say, "Can I turn a yoga video on?" So I think that just practicing what I preach has absolutely helped. Um, I also grew up with a very critical mom.
mhm,
And I am realizing how much that affected me, and doing the
mhm,
work to overcome that so that I do not carry that on. Um, generational trauma and trying to correct that,
Mhm.
and just speaking like positivity into myself about myself in front of my kids, as well as feeding it to them. I think that I've always been good about doing it to them, but not necessarily talking positive about myself in front of them.
Mhm.
So that's something I feel like has changed. Um, and then, of course, the relationships just in general. I think
Mhm.
I'm becoming more patient, like I
Mhm.
said, not flying off the handle in a moment of anger or agitation and saying something that I regret. I'm
Mhm.
stepping away from that and realizing that I can go meditate for a minute and I'll feel 10 times better. So, I think that this has made me almost a different person that I was that walked through the door, you know? When I
Mhm.
first started the course, I feel like I had a lot, but I look back and I don't hold anger toward myself for feeling the way that I did and reacting the way that I did. I just had a lot of emotions that I had nowhere to put them. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think all of the things that you touch on, I could have checked them off, that I needed to work on them. And I feel like I am working on all of them daily.
Mhm. Well, I
So,
think that's so amazing. That's incredible that you've seen the change that you have, and then you'll just continue to work through that, through March, and then that will be something you'll continue, right? Like the things that you learn, the transformation and the healing, like you said, it is a lifelong journey. And
right,
so you'll be able to, continue to work through that through the rest of your life, right?
right,
Because we're always growing and we're always healing and we're always evolving and transforming. And so it's really also meant to give you life skills
right,
too, right? There's a lot that you're gonna go through in that transformation during those 6 months, but there's a lot that's going to happen after the 6 months that you'll continue to integrate and practice and embody. And then in addition to that, you'll be able to, initiate those life skills. And then the more that you initiate those life skills and the more that you're able to, stay calm in the chaos and have a legacy of peace and, be in this place of calm with your kids and
right,
with your husband, um, it becomes easier and easier as you practice it, if that makes any sense.
right. Just navigating life in general, I think, has
Yeah,
become easier.
right. And I like to call it, do you remember me talk about this, the waves?
Yes.
Yeah. So you've got the waves, right? The waves of life.
Mhm.
And you want the waves to be like this instead of like this, right? You don't want like those like big tidal waves that come up because the waves like keep happening, right? Like life just
Can't
keeps
control. Yeah.
coming, right? We can't control that, but we can control our reaction.
Right,
And for those of us that are believers, also you can, imagine yourself like, standing firm, right? Standing firm in your faith for those of you that are believers. And you have that faith component too. And whether
right,
you choose your practice to be prayer and meditation and yoga, whether you just want to meditate and do yoga, whatever your thing is, the point being that we have to train ourselves to be able to be calm in chaos and have that firm foundation so that when these things happen and come, we know that are going to come, right? That we don't have control over.
right,
That's just life and things are going to happen. Um, that we're more prepared because, our nervous system and our immune system and our mind, body, spirit, health is in a place so that when those things happen, we're better prepared, if that makes any sense.
and I will add on too, I think I've done a self-healing journey through this, but I also believe that I'm starting to look at other people with more of, I guess I could say more empathy, because I'm starting to understand that, the way that they act isn't necessarily within their control. They haven't done a lot of healing.
Mm-hmm.
So, understanding other people a little bit more and having more patience with them affect
Right.
the relationships all the way around. So,
Yeah.
that I think has probably been the biggest thing for me
Mhm.
walking away from all of this.
Yeah, and it's amazing too, because the more inner work that you've done, the more healing and transformation, the more, you know, compassion you give yourself and empathy and like what I like to call radical acceptance or like unconditionally loving yourself, right? Where you're truly like be gentle and kind, compassionate to yourself instead of, beating yourself up and self-sabotage and, you know, as you get better at doing that, you naturally are able to reflect that out to other people. And so
Right.
that's the amazing part is that as that continues, you're just going to have more and more that's going to come out to other people and you're going to have more and more compassion and empathy and
Right.
get less and less irritated with people and take things a lot less personally because you'll
Absolutely.
realize that it's actually was never about me.
Right.
It's about them and the things that they were struggling with. And so I know that's been a huge, huge, huge part of this work for me because I know in the past I did take things personally, and most people do. I mean, that's human
Hard
nature.
not to. Right.
Yeah, that's human nature. Or, you know, I know over 10 years ago, like I struggled with like victim mentality, right? Because that was a lot of what I grew up in, was a lot of victim mentality.
Hmm.
And so I had to work through that too now that like 10 years later, like I'm not in, I don't do victim mentality. Um, and just being in a place of like being open to these things that are happening that even though it may not be easy, it's an opportunity always for learning and for growing, even during a hard thing that happens. And that's not an easy, I'm not sitting here saying that's an easy, to come to that conclusion all the time. But that's another example of the more you practice it, the easier it becomes to say,
Right.
okay, well, maybe this is teaching me something, or maybe this is building, like God is building some kind of strength or resilience in me right now that I don't know what he's building this for, but he's building it for something. And
Right.
even though it feels really, really hard when you're going through it, and you may not truly ever understand it, and you're not really meant to, but at some point, it'll be like, oh, okay, maybe you will see, or you'll just know that, wow, I have this perseverance and this resilience and this strength that I wouldn't have had if I wouldn't have gone through these hard things.
Right.
So I think that's the part that I love to teach you guys too, and you'll get more into that in module 5 is really taking your pain and turning it into purpose and turning your mess into your message. And
Right.
how do you take all of that and figure out a way to help other people with the things that you've gone through?
Right. I
Yeah.
love that. Yeah. I agree.
So tell me a little bit, or let's share a little bit about the learning management system itself, like how you've gone through the LMS and just open the curtain a little bit for people that obviously they don't know, like all the amount of information that we give you and like all the different things that we provide for you in the e-learning platform.
So the LMS is something that is designed for you to log in and you basically go through each step in each module yourself on your own time. And I am prime example too of somebody that's always saying, I'm busy, busy, busy. I don't have time to add anything else to my plate. If somebody asks me how I am, 9 times out of 10, my answer is, oh, I'm just busy. And so I like that I can do and log in all of the work on my own
Mhm,
terms and my own time. If my kids get sick, for instance, my daughter's sick right now,
mhm,
I don't have to stress about not being able to be on that day or, to not show up for a school setting or in-person learning. Um,
mhm,
and so to have that flexibility has been nice. Um,
mhm,
the module itself, all of them have been very easy to understand. I have learned a tremendous amount each time I get off. I think I'm just more fascinated with what I'm learning. Um,
mhm,
I think that all the videos you've interviewed a lot of people. And so a lot of the information that you're learning is just learning from other professionals that have even more information to give. And so I think just kind of going through it yourself and practicing, being able to practice yourself and do different exercises and get familiar with it,
Mhm.
and not have it's a judgment free zone. So you're not standing in front of 200 people practicing and feeling like you have no idea what you're doing.
Mhm.
Everybody is there to give you positive feedback and help you through the process. And you've been instrumental in just like answering questions very quickly when I, needed to understand how to get around or what to do. And you have people in place to help with that. So that's been very easy to, I guess, go through, and I've enjoyed it.
Well, I appreciate, like, all of the, like, the insight, and, um, I did wanna mention too, that's a good thing to bring up, that we actually have 3 different guest speakers, and we have a functional medicine doctor, Dr. Ginger, that is an expert in women's health, and she's given a talk in the program. We have Ramesh, who is he's been teaching for, I think, closer to 40 years, between 30 and 40 years.
All of them were phenomenal. I
Yeah,
love all of those videos.
yeah, he's a yoga teacher. He's a meditation teacher. He is an expert in Ayurveda. He's an expert in plant-based detoxing and cleansing. So you get access to those videos and some other um, videos that we did during retreats. You get access to those too, and all the handouts in those retreats. Um, we also have a trauma counselor who has over 25 years experience, and you get several master classes with her.
Right.
So yeah, and I give you guys, like, recommendations on movies. I give you links to a lot of movies, a lot of documentaries, book recommendations, like, you name it. There's a lot of other resources that I've also included that go well beyond, like, the basic certification, if that makes
Right.
any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you touch on all the things that somebody wanting to go through a healing journey, bettering their business, bettering them, their personal relationships, all of that's touched on. Um, as well as like the scientific reason that yoga and meditation works. And I think that the scientific world has taken a while to like jump on board with any kind of holistic practice.
Hmm.
And watching all of those videos, I'm like, yes, like out loud. I think I was saying like, yes, finally, it's like a breath of fresh air because I feel like more and more people are starting to learn how much all of us need this and how
Hmm.
helpful all of this is to be able to take all of that information and hopefully be able to go out and do healing work ourselves one day in
Right.
one way, shape, or form. I think that that's very helpful.
Oh, absolutely. And I enjoy doing it because I basically have taken, like, what I've learned over the past 10 years and, like, given it to you guys. Like, I just off the top of my head, like, a couple of the movies that we did was like Heal, like Unflame Me, the Sugar Movie, just to name a few things. I'm thinking of the wellness module in particular, but I did a lot around, like, meditation, like a lot of um, experts in meditation, just a lot.
Right.
So, and I will be sharing more of this. I haven't really shared a lot of it yet, but we also are going to be adding another additional optional cleanse and detox that I recently started, and I'm still working through that. So, as I have more information, I'll share that with everybody. But um, you know this, that I have an autoimmune stuff going on, and I know you do too. And so, this is something that I'm trying on my healing journey, that's plant based. And so I'll share more as I get deeper into it. Um, and if it works well for me, it will be something that I'll be sharing, as I go along, because I'm in something right now called an autoimmune flare up. And so it's like one of those things where it's like, oh, well, Jennie looks really healthy. I might look healthy, but I'm feeling kind of tired and exhausted. And
Right.
so I can tell when I'm not fully myself. And I know you know that, like, when I'm not at the energy level or I'm feeling off.
Right.
Um, so I'm working at getting back to my baseline of where I need to be, um, so that I can be at full potential. So one last thing, as far as the program, if you want to share a little bit around, um, like, just what it's been like, being in the Facebook group and having like that soul sister community, um, that you do have with the other students, in your group.
Right. So the ladies that I was matched with, I feel like we're all very different in how we do the meditations and how we do the practices. But
Hmm.
I'm learning things that I want to incorporate into my, sound healing or eventually, yoga practice that I do.
Hmm.
Um, so I feel like I'm learning not only from them, but I'm learning how I want to like the changes that I wanna make for
Hmm.
myself later on and how it can help other people,
Hmm.
um, because I feel like you're gonna have clientele that are not just like you, they're all very different, but everybody's been supportive. Everybody, like I said before, has been very positive. Nobody's been critical at all, and I know that we all kind of feel very new to a lot of this. Some of us
Hmm.
have been practicing yoga for a very long time. And then other people are very new that come in. So I think everybody's kind of at a different level that you
Hmm.
match. And so everybody can learn from each other. So you did a good job, I feel like, matching everybody.
Hmm.
Um, and then on the Facebook groups, you do the lives, which I love doing the lives when I can.
Hmm.
But then again, going back to not being always on the computer and being available, I can go back and watch the live, which I like that too, because I'll get the reminder because I follow all the pages. So I get
Hmm.
the reminder as soon as I log in and I'm like, oh, I missed it. Okay, I can go back and watch it. So that's been nice too to have that flexibility.
Yeah, just to let everybody know, I will be teaching twice a month. So in the Girl and Grow Let It Go inner circle, I'll be teaching twice a month in that too. So that's kind of what she's talking about.
Right.
And yeah, there is no pressure as far as like pass fail or any of that kind of stuff. Like, if for those students that are wanting to look at doing a teacher training or a yoga psychology certification, I can certainly chat with you about that. But we're not, um, there is no like pass fail. Like, you don't need to worry about um, any of that. Like, we're not about high pressure.
Right.
We're really about really creating a cooperative, encouraging, inspiring environment. There are other trainings that, might be a little bit more high pressure, or, might be a pass fail, or certain quizzes. Like, they get pretty serious about their certifications, and that's totally cool. And it's not that we're not, but we don't feel like it's necessary to create that type of environment. And we want it to be more of a supportive environment, and that people can come from different levels. And we all have different strengths as teachers and as mentors. And
Correct.
so I feel like that's as important, is starting to identify and learn your strengths and focusing on those,
Right.
because we all have individual gifts and strengths that I feel are God given. And hopefully, part of this will help people to start to learn or deepen their understanding of their gifts and their purpose.
Right. And I do think that that's helped me
Yeah.
tremendously with that, kind of giving me direction on which way I should go, which I've always struggled with.
Mhm. So, um, one last two last questions for you. So one is, if somebody was going to come to you, Mandy, and say, "Hey, Mandy, I'm thinking about doing the Let It Go Girl inner circle. or, the Wise Mind, psychology school, what would you tell that person?
I would say go for it. I think that it'll benefit you in a lot of ways in your life. And if you're looking for something that's very different from most of what is out there, then you came to the right place. And I would figure out a way to make it work. So you'll have me to come to, and I'll help you if I need to personally. And I think everybody's kind of open to helping each other
Mm-hmm.
in one way if you weren't available for some reason, but you always have been. So, um, yeah, I would say go for it. Do it. What are you looking to accomplish? If
Yeah.
it's something like bettering yourself or healing or growing into a
Mm-hmm.
better person, then you came to the right place. So can't go wrong.
Well, I love that, girl. Thank you so much.
Yep.
So is there anything else? I'm going to share the website, the Girl Let It Go, Bro Let It Go, one more time. You can schedule a call from that page. Um, and you actually don't have to schedule a call to join based on the different levels. So if you want to do like let go, send us a message at our business page and we'll respond to that. We can send you more information that way. If you're wanting to find out more and you have questions or you want to find about the different levels or you're interested in certification, then let's jump on a call and chat. Um, so, Mandy, is there anything that you would like to share as far as some of the things that you're doing right now? I know you of course, are doing your sound healing. Is there
Right.
anything else that you would want to share that you're doing right now, or a website or anything that you'd want to share?
So I am doing Sound Healing by Mandy. You can
Mhm.
find me on Facebook. I do one monthly free event online, and then I'm based out of Georgia, so I live in North Georgia, but all over Metro Atlanta. I do in person group sessions, and then I do individual sessions too. And I basically am like a traveler and I go to people's homes or businesses and do the
Mhm.
events there.
Mhm.
Reach out, find me, and I will be glad to do sound healing with anybody interested.
And what was it again? How people find you on Facebook? What was it
Um,
again?
so if you look me up under,
Andy, is that what you said?
sure that I give you the right one, it is under Sound Healing by Mandy.
And is sound healing, is that two?
Yeah, 2 words, Sound Healing by Mandy. Or you can find me under Mandy Price under my personal account.
Find it on Facebook, local. You're in North Georgia, right?
Right. And my profile will say Sound and Soul on the little profile picture. And I appreciate it.
Atlanta or online. Okay. Awesome, girl.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, girl. I am so, so grateful because I know you are busy for real. Like everybody's busy. Um, everybody's got a lot going on, like right with their kids and working and other responsibilities.
Right.
So I'm so grateful for you actually taking this time out of your schedule to share your experience with students because I know your time's valuable, and so I really appreciate you doing that. And there's nothing like hearing from a student directly.
Right.
Isn't so. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that because I can talk about right. It's not the same thing if I talk about it all day long, but if
Right.
you hear it from another student, that helps. And I think it's really encouraging and motivating and inspiring for you to share where you were with making the decision and saying, this resonated for me. My soul felt called to this. And so I made it work financially and I
Right.
made it work in my schedule and I made it work with the time that I was dedicating. And then all the things that you've gotten, the outcomes that you've gotten from the work that you're putting in.
Right. So much I have gained, so I have lost nothing. So I think you have nothing but better things to gain from signing up and taking part in any of your courses, I think would be beneficial to anybody. So,
Well, thank you.
so yeah.
Thank you so much. I am
You're
sending
welcome.
so much love and light. I hope your daughter feels better.
Thank you.
Stay warm down there.
Thank you.
And I know I'll continue to connect with you in the Facebook group. So thank you again so much, Mandy. I really
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Jennie.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay. Take
Bye-bye.
the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye.